Hey everybody, I'm having hiccups. Welcome back to another video. This is Aman, entrepreneur, startup founder based in Tokyo. And today, in this channel, I basically talk about stuff that entrepreneurs talk about with each other, right? And I just, behind closed doors usually. And I just decided to talk about it, in the open, I guess, as a way to document my journey. And today, my last video I made about like founders who respect VCs too much, and why that shouldn't be the case. And today I want to talk about kind of a similar topic, which is VCs versus angels, right? When you're looking for funding, at least what's been my experience so far, right? When you're approaching people, let's talk about the differences between VCs and angels. So I'll start with VCs first, right? And I'll probably weave in things about angels. But anyway, let's start with definitions. A VC is a person who is operating a fund, who's using other people's money to invest in startups, right? So a VC has things called limited partners, LP. They're like mutual funds or whatever, people with big money, and they tell them hey, or a retirement fund or something like that, right? And a VC will go to them and say, hey, I will, you need a return on your investment, and a portion of your, portfolio should be slightly higher risk investment. You want a diversified portfolio, right? If you're a retirement fund for people. So you have to put your money somewhere. You have so many people's retirement money, for example. And a VC will tell them hey, you need a diversified portfolio. Part of that money can go into startups, right? Startups which have huge growth potential, but also huge risk, right? And so we will fund the best startups in the country, in the world, whatever, with your money, and you will get a great return, right? That's our job. And we will simply collect a small management fee out of the money. So if you raise $100 million, like 3-5 million, whatever, $1 to $3 million a year will go into operating the VC fund. It will basically go to the partners and basically get spent, right, on the people running the VC fund. So for a small fund, if the management fee is let's say 1% to 3%, whatever, they're collecting 1 to 3% in their wallet, in their pocket, no matter whether the fund does well or not. They only have to spend 97 million out of that 100 million on startups, giving away money to companies, and the rest 1 to 3 million, whatever, they're going to play with. Basically, it pays their salaries and whatever. So a VC, at least in the short term, makes money through management fees for just being there, right? The real money they're getting is because they raise the money, right? So if you simply are able to raise money as a VC, right, you don't really have to do anything. You don't have to win in order to line your pocket for the next 3 years, right? Unless, of course, you're a founder of a VC firm. For most partner type people, they don't have to perform as such, and they don't have to know much, right? So just keep that in mind. Now, an angel, on the other hand, is a person who is putting in their own money, right? They made some money, and then now they want to invest in startups for themselves, not for other people, right? And sometimes you'll have angel syndicates, they all act as a group and they invest money as a group, but still it's it's their own money at stake for an angel, right? Angel syndicates are a group of angels putting money together. But anyway, that's a separate topic. And it's usually an individual, right? or it's a family fund, family office or whatever, something like that, right? There's there's a spectrum. Maybe some rich guy, has a family fund, and maybe they ask other people to manage the money. That could be a case, right? Wealthy families, whatever. But for the most part, it's an individual who is investing now, and they really care about what they're investing in, right? They have to have their own convictions about what they spend money on. As a VC, you have to look good in front of your own investors. So when you invest in something, your job is not just to invest because of what you find useful, right? What you find interesting. You also have to invest based on what will look good to your own investors. Because they will ask you, what kind of companies are you investing in, right? And the VC will have to say, oh, yeah, we invested in this company, it has huge potential. Look, it looks good, right? So a VC decision is by default about a committee decision. You're not just trying to influence. To get VC money, you don't just have to influence a VC. You also have to influence the people behind the VC, right? The people who they need to impress in a way. And this is not entirely accurate for every single fund, every single company, but for the most part, that's how VC has to work, right? Because there are funds run by people who are better and they really have their own convictions. But most of the VCs, they just have to, they have to answer to their own investors in the end of the day. An angel investor, besides their spouse, they might not have to answer to anybody, right? So that's another big difference. Well, an angel can really invest in you out of their own conviction against popular norms. A VC, for the most part, will not be able to invest in you if you look a little too extraordinary, too abnormal. Let's put it that way, right? Another side to this is that if you're doing great as a company, right? If you're really hitting it big and people are just pounding on your door, customers and stuff, and you're seeing a lot of growth, then a lot of VCs will be chasing you down because their limited partners will ask them, hey, there's this company that everybody's talking about. Did you invest our money in this company or not? Why are you not an investor in this company which blew up while you were investing? How could you miss this company that's actually growing up, right? And so VCs have to play the game of their own networking. They have to chase down the best founders. They have to chase down founders who seem like they will be huge, right? And 100 baggers. Because if you miss a founder who shows incredible potential, right? If you miss a founder as a VC right under your nose, or if you reject the wrong founder, right? That is very costly for them because they know that most of their investments will go to zero by default. The nature of the game is very risky, right? And so you have to make sure you get the right ones, get the ones that are popping right now, right? As an angel, that is also true for the most part, but a lot of times angels will also invest in you for other reasons, because that's where individual dynamics play, right? For example, an angel investor might invest in you because they actually support your company. They might dislike your competition because they started a similar company in the past, or they might just want to look good in front of their friends. They want to impress their friends at a cocktail party and be like, oh, I invested in this really cute, cool, futuristic company, whatever, right? So with an angel, it's much more of an emotional decision. than a purely financial, modeled, white collar type, pitch perfect, like presentation, PowerPoint perfect decision, right? And that's a big factor. Like how you position your company to these different types of investors is huge. Right? A VC wants to see a growth story, right? And that's pretty much the only thing they care about. The team, like they want to check all the boxes, basically, right? An angel investor is looking for the one thing that will make their heart sing and make them give you their check, right? With an angel, you have to just figure out, what does this guy want to see? What kind of person is this? Is this person a money person? Is this person more like a philanthropist? He wants to do something good in the world, and that's why they're spending money. Or do they just want to look cool and do something shiny for their friends? Is that the motivation here, right? And based on that, you have to change how you pitch these people. So anyway, so another difference is that, and this is kind of like going back to my last video, which is that typically a VC has a finance background. They've never actually built a company, and they don't know how to build a company, right? So when you talk to a VC, versus you talk to an angel investor who, for example, let's say is an actual expert in some field, right? Who actually built their own money, not from management fees, but from actually doing stuff in the world and getting a paycheck that they really earned, right? Then I personally feel like you shouldn't really listen to VCs besides whether it's a yes or no. Okay, do you want to invest? Do you not want to invest? Not want to invest? Fine, fuck you. Like next person, next VC, right? Because a VC is a fund manager. They have a fund. They're not some unicorn with wisdom or high IQ or whatever, right? I mean, they're smart people. They're not stupid, but they're smart in a very specific way, which is to be a finance person, right? An angel, on the other hand, you can actually educate them. You can actually talk to them, have a conversation. They want to learn more, typically, right? It's not for everybody. There are some professional type angels as well who are a serial angel investor, and they invest in companies like it's part of a business, And I've had one experience with such an angel as well. I once, and they operate kind of like a VC firm. Some angels do work like VCs, right? So you have to figure out what kind of category, what kind of money am I looking at by talking to the person I'm talking to, right? If you talk to an investor, if you approach an investor, before you approach an investor, you have to do your own due diligence as a founder as well. Like, hey, and I know you might be sometimes desperate for money, so you might not think about these things, but it's like, you don't just have to think about it because like you might say, oh, I don't care what kind of money they have, what kind of person they have, what kind of like deal they're looking for. I just want the money. I'll pitch everybody on the sun. Like, that's fine. But when you're pitching them, don't you want to know how they need to be pitched for the highest rate of success, right? Or don't you want to save your time on people who will never invest in you in a million years because you don't know how they need to be pitched? So that's why I'm talking about this, right? When you're approaching an investor, you have to look at what kind of money is this, right? What kind of person am I talking to? What kind of pitch do they need, right? You have to think of their interests, right? If a person, it's pretty basic, right? If a person can only invest in things that they have to explain to somebody else, to their whole committee, and to their own investors, you have to pitch them in a way that checks all their boxes, that they won't get. They will find it easy to defend your story, right? And if you're just pitching somebody who has to make their own decision on the spot, then it's a much more emotional sale, right? It's like door-to-door sales in a way. And you have to find out what that person really wants. Are they investing in you because you're just a nice guy and you're doing something good in the world and they're more of a philanthropist? Or in that way you have to talk more about the impact and more about the good you want to do? Or is this person, and if that's the case and you're just a money person, don't pitch philanthropists because you don't want to waste your time, right? A lot of angel investors will actually think about what kind of social impact you're having, right? A lot of angel investors will not fund your OnlyFans type app or whatever you're building, right? Because they might not feel like they have to invest in it, even if it's making a lot of money, right? If you're building like a cam girls type, whatever, pornography, oriented website or service, then you wanna reach out to angel investors who will not care about that. They just want to see the money. They just want to see growth and revenue, and those will be your type of investors, right? So that's what I mean, basically. And if you go to a philanthropy type investor and you give him a money-making pitch, like how he will get a lot of huge return, and he's like looking at you because he's already worth like, let's say $500 million or like $200 million or even $1 billion in some cases. He's like, motherfucker, I don't need you to make me rich. You will never be as rich as I am, right? Whatever your company makes will not move the needle on my lifestyle in any material way, right? I am investing this money because I want to change the world. I want to make the world a better place. I want to do something in this world or some social movement, right? So on that kind of person, your money-making growth style pitch will fall on deaf ears because he doesn't need you to make him rich, right? He's much richer than you will ever be with your current business. So guys, that's kind of, are we still recording? Okay. So guys, that's kind of like my ranty pitch. I hope this video helps. Yeah, all the best, guys. I know it's a hard journey, but all the best.